I'm Bernadette Wagner, and I'm glad you could join us for Healing, Hope, and Health, proudly brought to you by Hospice of Washington County. Most people know that Hospice of Washington County provides quality end-of-life care for those with limited time and their family members. Some know that Hospice of Washington County provides professional grief counseling free of charge to anyone in our community, whether or not their loved ones received hospice care. But did you know that Hospice of Washington County also offers life-enriching programs at its community life centers with the goal of building relationships and strengthening the entire community? People young and old turn to those they trust during difficult times. They seek help from those who have been supportive in the past. Hospice of Washington County understands this crucial dynamic and hopes through this program to provide information, build trust, and lay the groundwork for meaningful relationships with you, our viewers. Healing, Hope, and Health will foster an understanding of death as a normal part of living and grieving a loved one as a normal part of loving. This program will enable Hospice of Washington County to share its mission, explain its services, and answer questions submitted by our viewers. On Healing, Hope, and Health, we will celebrate the lives of those we've served, highlight staff and volunteers, recognize our benefactors and business partners, and most importantly, engage our viewers as together we journey through life. Today, I'd like to welcome two special guests. First, Dr. Alva S. Baker, Hospice of Washington County's Chief Medical Officer. Dr. Baker, who brings more than 40 years of experience to his position with Hospice of Washington County, is board certified in geriatric medicine and in hospice and palliative medicine. He has a special interest in caring for persons with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia, and serves on the faculty of the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. When asked about his work, Dr. Baker said, "I find great satisfaction in helping to improve the quality of life of those suffering persons." Welcome, Dr. Baker.
Hello.
I'd also like to welcome Shelley Steiner, the Director of Strategic Initiatives and Business Development. She first came to Hospice of Washington County in 2008, and over the years has held many leadership positions. In her current role, Shelley explores the feasibility of starting new programs, develops strategies for their implementation, and administers them in the early stages. She also maintains relationships with referral sources and legislators with the goal of promoting hospice as a valuable part of the healthcare continuum. Shelley, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
I'm glad you're both here. Dr. Baker, could you tell us just a little bit about hospice, the history of hospice, the philosophy of hospice?
Yeah, well, the history is kind of interesting. You know, when we think about hospice, historically it was in the Alps with the monks and the St. Bernard dogs kind of thing, welcoming travelers who needed relief from the elements. But the modern hospice movement started in 1967. It was started by Dame Cicely Saunders, a British woman who was a social worker, a nurse, and a physician, who saw the need to improve end-of-life care. And so with the founding of St. Christopher's Hospice in London in 1967, the modern hospice movement was born.
And when did it first come into the United States?
Well, it kind of came across the ocean pretty rapidly, but our healthcare system was not prepared to deal with that. And so it wasn't really until the 1980s when the Medicare hospice benefit became available that hospice became a reality in this country. And since then it has just grown and grown and grown.
Shelley, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the hospice movement here in Washington County.
Well, next year, 2015, will be our 35th anniversary year. So we have been in operation for 34 years in a few months. And we have been doing traditional hospice in that we take care of patients in their homes or anywhere that they live, which means they could be in an assisted living or a nursing home. But we also had not done the palliative care side before. So in the last 34 years, what we have been doing is really strengthening our staff. Our staff is extremely capable, very professional, and they're very unique healthcare providers in this area.
And incredibly compassionate as well.
Very much.
Yeah, yeah. So, Dr. Baker, can you tell us about some of that training that that our staff receives in order to do their jobs?
Well, hospice care is a multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary team effort. So we have nurses who have received special training in end-of-life care. We have social workers who likewise have special training in end-of-life care. We have chaplains who, our chaplains are all certified as chaplains. They've been through particular education and working with patients who are dying in the clinical arena. And it is that team of people working together that lets us provide the level of service, the intensity of service, and the successful services that we provide to persons to help alleviate suffering. And
I think that the beautiful part of what the folks at hospice do is they care for the whole patient, not just the disease. Shelley, I was wondering if you could tell us about some of the new initiatives in the little bit of time that we have left.
Well, in the last few years, we have really started to branch out into the community a little bit more. We have a CEO whose philosophy is that we need to take our services wherever the patient is, and we've always done that, but now we're also taking it into the community where we can provide services such as bereavement services. So we have started life centers, what we call life centers. There's one in Hancock, and there's also one in the center of Hagerstown. And then we also have plans for one to be started in Boonesboro before the end of the year. So we have that going on, and then we also are beginning a palliative care program. We have started to do palliative care services, which is for patients who are not at end of life, but they are patients who still need pain and symptom management.
Well, thank you both so much for joining us here today. There's a lot to know about Hospice of Washington County's mission, goals, and future initiatives. I'm grateful to our guests for sharing their knowledge, and I hope, like me, you've learned something new today. Knowledge is a wonderful thing. It enables us to make informed decisions. If you would like more information about Hospice of Washington County, please call 301-791-6360. Thanks for joining us.
I'm the hometown favorite.
I'll outsmart you.
I will beat you.
I'll be surrounded by fans cheering me on.
There's no place like home for fighting cancer.
My turf.
My time.
My team.
Expert care, close to home. The John R. Marsh Cancer Center at Meritus Health.
This is our home. It's where we've all decided to put down roots and raise families, not because we had to, because we wanted to. And as a business owner, you pour every ounce of energy into doing what's right for you in this community, and you won't and you don't stop until you get what you want, and neither do we. We're Antietam Cable Productions, and it's time to stand up and be seen and heard. You have a voice, and we'll help you tell your story. Antietam Cable Productions, putting the beat into the heart of your business.
Hi, I am Dr. Olenzak at the Pain and Spine Institute. I specialize in the most advanced procedures and technology available in pain management. At your visits and procedures, you will always see me for continuity of care. I would like to thank all of my patients for allowing me to provide you with the specialized care that you need. To give you this level of care requires a team. This is your team at the Pain and Spine Institute. To become a patient, call 301-739-7900 or go to painfree-md.com.
This Halloween, Antietam Cable will fill your home with tales of local ghosts and legends. On November 1st, we begin with the program that started it all, 1985's Ghosts and Legends, followed next by 1992's Legends. Then the tale of local ghosts continues with our 2002 version of Legends. Finally, wrap up the night with our popular South Mountain Magic. It's a night of ghosts, November 1st, beginning at 5 p.m., brought to you by Antietam Cable Television and only on Antietam Cable's Channel 30.
I'm pleased to welcome Tracy Moser, one of Hospice of Washington County's 4 patient care managers. She is a registered nurse, certified in hospice and palliative nursing, who has been with the organization for 8 years. As a PCM, Tracy and her counterparts oversee an incredibly compassionate staff that provides nursing care to an average of 260 patients per day. With her wealth of knowledge and experience, Tracy's here today to shed light on the important question of who is eligible to receive hospice care. Welcome, Tracy. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So hospice, most people know that hospice provides care for people at the end of life, for those with limited time. So does that mean it's just for senior citizens, just for the elderly?
No, we do provide end-of-life care, that's correct, but it's for anyone at any point in their life, so we address the entire life spectrum.
Okay, and does that mean when you're talking about the whole life spectrum, you'll take care of children if they need it, and you'll take care of people, you know, teens and adults all the way to their elderly? Absolutely. For anyone that's experiencing a life-limiting illness, regardless of the age, Hospice of Washington County is able to care for them. Okay, and so does it have to do with a certain diagnosis? Is it only for cancer patients, or do you provide hospice care for people with a variety of illnesses? Many people think that hospice is only for cancer patients, but that's actually not true. We do provide care for people with many different life-limiting illnesses. Some examples of those would be COPD or lung disease at the end stages, end-stage heart disease, end-stage kidney disease, liver disease. We also care for individuals who have a progressive neurological disease such as ALS or Parkinson's. We care for people who've had strokes. And we also care for people who have had HIV or who have HIV or AIDS. Okay. And also Alzheimer's, is that true? Do you take care of Alzheimer's patients as well? Yes, that's correct. Alzheimer's and other dementias, we do provide care for those individuals as well. And what does the care entail? I mean, is it medical care, or are there other components as well? Well, it's a pleasure of mine to be part of a team who provides the care every day to the patients. It's a very diverse group of people. We have registered nurses, many of those who have taken a step above and also become certified in hospice and palliative nursing. We also have licensed practical nurses. We have certified nursing assistants. We have a spiritual care team that oversees and provides care to people of all faiths and religions. We also have volunteer program, and we also have licensed social workers. And the social workers provide a lot of support to the family, so they address a lot of psychological, psychosocial, emotional support to the patients and families. We also have volunteers. Volunteers are a great asset to the team. They are able to provide companionship. We have some pet therapy volunteers, massage therapy. So it's a wide variety of different people that are part of the team. Not only does the team provide care, we also do provide equipment in the home for individuals that are enrolled in hospice. These are things that are intended to provide quality of life and promote comfort. We provide things such as hospital beds, oxygen, wheelchairs, walkers, things that help the person maintain that independence as they're dealing with their changes in condition, as well as preparing for the future. That's terrific. So basically, hospice is there to treat people with any illness for as long, and to provide the best quality care for as long as possible. Absolutely. That's terrific. And where are these services provided? Are they provided just in the home, or where does a hospice team treat the patient? We provide the care to wherever the person calls home. We are, of course, Hospice of Washington County, so we are in Washington County, but we provide it in many private residences. We provide care in group homes, assisted livings, nursing homes. We also have a contract with Meritus Medical Center, whereby if an individual is admitted at Meritus and some things change, that they are a candidate for inpatient level of care for hospice, we can initiate hospice care there and follow them home. And it is my understanding that Medicaid and Medicare cover, and other insurances also cover this? Correct. About 95% of our patients currently have the Medicare benefit, so it is something that is covered at 100%. People do not pay an out-of-pocket expense. But we do participate with Medicaid, other private insurances, and being a part of this nonprofit community, we are always looking to give back. So if we have an individual or someone who is not able to pay for the care, we would never deny them services based on that ability to pay. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us here today and for explaining under what circumstances patients are eligible to receive hospice care, and for letting our viewers know that these services can be delivered in whatever setting a patient calls home. If there's something else you want to know, if you have a question about hospice that you would like to be addressed during this program, please send an email to info@hospiceofwc.org.
People don't realize it takes a lot to care for a family member in your home. John's dad was very headstrong, so I think that was a lot for him to get over and try to come to terms with that he had terminal illness. I would recommend everybody to get hospice involved at the get-go. When you first learn about it, get it set up. it's going to make it, I mean, it's terrible what you're going through already, but it's going to make it easier for you in the long run because we couldn't have done it without them.
Call Hospice today. Hospice of Washington County, when time matters most.
From the smallest item of jewelry to the largest ceramic elephant, every 10,000 Villages handcrafted product makes a remarkable journey.
All over the world, our products travel similar paths, over thousands of miles and years of artistic tradition. Our handcrafted gifts represent work that builds villages and sustains souls. They are the dream of a better life made real. Every product is a miracle.
Welcome back to Healing, Hope, and Health. Hospice of Washington County not only strives to ensure the highest quality of life for those with limited time, but it is equally committed to supporting those who have lost loved ones. Hospice of Washington County's licensed grief counselors validate grief as a natural part of losing a loved one and offer wisdom and insight to coping with grief. I'm pleased to introduce Kathy Campbell, Manager for Bereavement Services for Hospice of Washington County. Kathy joins us today to help us better understand the signs and symptoms of grief. Welcome, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So, Kathy, you are a bereavement specialist. Tell us a little bit about those signs and symptoms of grief that you help people deal with.
Sure. Grief can actually affect us all in very, very different ways. Grief can affect us physically, it can affect us emotionally, cognitively, spiritually, even socially. Grief will affect us all in different ways, and while there are signs and symptoms, if you will, that would be considered quite normal for the grieving process, that's not to say that everyone will deal with those in the same way or even experience all of those during their grief journey. But these could be things, anything from experiencing headaches to stomach aches, real tenseness. Emotionally might be things such as anger, guilt, sadness, loneliness. It can affect us in terms of just that wanting and or needing to withdraw from people. It can affect us to the point where we become forgetful, disorganized. I mean, every possible way from head to toe that one can imagine being affected, grief can certainly take its toll on us and do that to us.
And isn't it also that grief frequently affects our sleep patterns as well?
Absolutely. It can affect us. It can affect our sleep. It can affect our appetite, and that can go up or down. Mm-hmm. So for some people, they might find all they want to do is sleep, and they have much more of a need to sleep, while others find that they have difficulty falling asleep, or they can fall asleep but then often wake up in the middle of the night. Same with our appetite. It can be seen in any number of different ways, and that's the strange thing about grief, is that we can see those vast differences, but all of it is quite normal.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the interesting things. Grief is so universal, but yet it's so unique at the same time.
It absolutely is. We often find this, especially within families. Families grieve as family units, but within that family, there are many different individuals who are all grieving in very different ways.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell us, what types of grief support do you offer at Hospice of Washington County?
We offer a number of different services, wanting to meet the needs of as many people as we possibly can. We offer closed-ended support groups. We offer open-ended support groups that are more just drop-in, and designed the schedule to be for individuals to be able to attend regardless of their schedule. So we do have evening groups, we do have daytime groups. We offer many different workshops. We have a camp for children. We do a lot of individual counseling and even telephone support.
That's great. So just to make sure that our viewers know, can you tell us when those drop-in groups are in case they'd be interested in stopping in?
Absolutely. The second and fourth Thursday of every month, we do have an evening group, 5:30 p.m. And the first and third Monday of every month, we have a daytime group that meets at 10:30.
And right now that's offered at 747 Northern Avenue, but there is the possibility that they would be offered at other locations in our community life centers if the need arises.
Absolutely. We have a strong desire to take our services wherever there is a need. So of course we would meet the needs of any community to the best of our ability.
So our viewers, they could contact us and let us know what those needs are.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, Kathy, I know that you're doing a really interesting program. At least to me, it's an interesting way of dealing with, helping people deal with their grief, and it's called Walking Support Group. Is that right?
Grief Walks.
Grief Walks.
Grief Walks is a bereavement program that was designed specifically keeping in mind that not everyone is comfortable with the idea of coming into a support group setting to sit and talk about their emotions, to be able to express their grief. But they are grieving nonetheless. But many times people, especially people who cope in a much more active way, much more physical way, being able to combine that activity with processing can be very, very helpful. So we designed this walking group for people to come all together to be able to walk and talk, if you will.
Well, that sounds great, and I am so glad that you were able to join us today.
Thank you.
Anne Mara Lindbergh said, "I do not believe that sheer suffering teaches. If suffering alone taught, all the world would be wise, since everyone suffers. To suffering must be added mourning, understanding, patience, love, openness, and the willingness to remain vulnerable." I'd like to thank Kathy for casting light on both the universality and the uniqueness of grief, and for reminding us that we don't have to grieve alone. If you or someone you know needs support, please contact Hospice of Washington County.
Arbors Carson Jewelers has been your community jeweler for over 110 years. We have the region's largest selection of diamonds, designer jewelry, including bridal, gold, and silver fashion jewelry, and fine Swiss timepieces. We strive to combine quality, expert personal attention, and affordable financing to create an exceptional shopping experience aimed at exceeding your expectations. At Carson's Jewelers, there's something for everyone that will bring a smile to that someone special in your life.
I'm the hometown favorite.
I'll outsmart you.
I will beat you.
I'll be surrounded by fans cheering me on.
There's no place like home for fighting cancer.
My turf.
My time.
My team.
Expert care, close to home. The John R. Marsh Cancer Center at Meritus Health.
People don't realize it takes a lot to care for a family member in your home. John's dad was very headstrong, so I think that was a lot for him to get over and try to come to terms with that he had terminal illness. I would recommend everybody to get hospice involved at the get-go. When you first learn about it, get it set up, it's going to make it, I mean, it's terrible what you're going through already, but it's going to make it easier for you in the long run because we couldn't have done it without them.
Call Hospice today. Hospice of Washington County, when time matters most.
Today, I'm pleased to welcome Mana De Amor, one member of the Hospice of Washington County's committed core of volunteers. Mana will share with you why she chose to volunteer with Hospice of Washington County and explain her role. Welcome, Mana. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me.
So can you tell our viewers a little bit about why you decided to volunteer with Hospice of Washington County?
Mainly just to pay forward. My mother became seriously ill suddenly back in 2000, the end of 2004, and it ended up being terminal, and she was gone within 2 months. And they were just so wonderful. They came in, they helped her, they helped me. I had other volunteers that just came in and sat with me so I could just run into my workplace and just check things to make sure everything was going, through properly. And it was just a really wonderful experience with them.
We hear so often that Hospice of Washington County not only cares for the patient, but also cares for the family, and that's exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about the process of applying to be a volunteer and what position you hold with the Hospice of Volunteer Washington County?
Well, actually, I saw an ad in the newspaper where they needed some volunteers. And I thought, okay, I'm retired, and it was a wonderful experience for me, and I'm sure it'll continue to be. So I contacted Lindsay Anderson at the main office.
She is the Director of Volunteer Services.
Yes. And I went in, had an interview with her, explained to her, you know, about the experience I had with my mom, and filled out the application, and then they do a background check, and I even received notification from some company about the background check. And then they contacted me, and they advised me of some new locations they were opening up, and which ones would I prefer to work at. And so I gave her 2, possibly 3, and then I just basically had to wait until those locations opened. And the one that I work at downtown, the Community Life Center, in the it's in the old Grand Piano building.
Beautiful building.
Yes, it is. It's been, you know, renovated, and so I started there at the beginning of May.
Well, we're so grateful for your service. Could you just tell us a little bit how you've experienced your volunteer opportunity there? Has it been rewarding? Is it something that you would recommend to other people?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, when I talk to friends sometimes or relatives, and I tell them what I'm doing, I always tell them, you know, they need more volunteers. Yeah.
That's great.
And of course, I've made some wonderful new friendships with the people I work with. There's people that come in for appointments with our bereavement counselor. I'm there to greet them. I do some outbound calls to set up some appointments for you. And, you know, just whatever receptionist work, you know, office work that I can do to help out, that's what I do.
Well, thank you, Mana, for sharing your experience, and thank you for joining us. As you can see, volunteering can be extremely rewarding if you have the right training and the right support. Hospice of Washington County has one of the best volunteer training programs and literally hundreds of ways for interested individuals to get involved. In the near future, Lindsay Anderson, our Director of Volunteer Services, will be joining us on our show to provide even more detailed information. In the meantime, if you want to support Hospice of Washington County, consider joining us for our Funds for Friends event on October 21st at the Green Turtle. On that day, the Green Turtle has pledged to donate a percentage of sales to support the programs at the Hagerstown Community Life Center. I'll be there. I hope to see you there too. And now I'd like to invite you to take a look at the many upcoming programs, workshops, and events being offered by Hospice of Washington County. Contact Hospice of Washington County if you have any questions.
Looking through the lens, I see you smiling there. I take a photograph. In my mind, you'll never fade. A million winding roads. Who knows where we will go today or tomorrow? Never give up, and I'll never give up on you. It's a beautiful life if you never stop dreaming. I never stop dreaming with you. It's a beautiful, beautiful life. Beautiful, beautiful life. There's choices that we make every single day. There's chances that we take, and I will always take a chance with you. A million winding roads. Who knows where we will go today or tomorrow? Never give up, and I'll never give up on you. It's a beautiful life if you never stop dreaming. I never stop dreaming with you. It's a beautiful, beautiful life. It's a beautiful, beautiful life. Like a summer breeze, you're washing over me.